Processing. Okay, here we are. We are live. It's another week and another episode of Chiropractic is Sexy. I am Dr. Paula Ruffin.
I'm Dr. Erica Peabody, and another Thursday. Here we are.
Another Thursday. And boy, Dr. Erica and I bring you these shows every week, and it's usually something that we're inspired by from a week-to-week basis. Hold on. There we go. Sorry. I had another browser open. It's usually something where, we've heard someone say something, we have an experience in life, and it's really, really profound, and so profound that when we hear a story, we know that that is not anything that we've heard in isolation. And so we're going to bring you some lessons today. And good morning, Lily. And really just talking about this whole I'm just going to call it nonsense about you are a victim of your genes. And so many people are walking around thinking that they are a victim of their genetics and they have this family history. Well, there is a thing called what we call epigenetics, and it is what happens to the gene when you put good stuff on it or when you put bad stuff on it, when you put good things in the body versus bad things. And so you really drive the gene by your lifestyle. And so, I think that is going to segue us perfectly into the story that brought up this topic. So, Dr. Erica, take it away and tell us what your inspiration was.
So I will share that story, but I do want to say about an hour ago, I had a patient on the table and she was talking about sinus headaches. And she was like, and my dad had sinus headaches.
Right. I know.
Oh, like that doesn't actually go together. You can have a genetic propensity, right, but that not just because people have something doesn't mean that sinus headaches. And I'm like baffled that is considered something that they would consider as family history inside of their
arthritis gets lumped in there too, without any regard to, is it rheumatoid? Is it osteo? Is it degenerative? Degenerative arthritis is a product of lifestyle. That is a slip, trip, fall, anything that is chronic repetition. It is repetitive stress. It is trauma. It's you played sports. It's anything that caused some kind of jarring, typically to the spine, that changes the shape, that then causes it to remodel to its new position. And it's much like never rotating tires on your car, is that they're going to wear and tear unevenly. That is degenerative arthritis. That is 100% lifestyle. So just because your dad had arthritis in his back and you're like, yeah, I wonder if I have arthritis back there. Well, you probably do, not because your dad did, but because you're on this planet.
Well, and lifestyles, more than anything, the lifestyle is hereditary. Like, yes, the lifestyles are what's really hereditary.
Are you still eating the same diet? Yeah. Are you still
eating what your family taught you? So that's really where it comes from. So back up to this story, I was talking to a friend of mine. I was at a chamber networking event on Tuesday morning, and I was chatting with my friend there, and he was just saying, I don't even know how it came. Oh, the food that was offered. So it was like delicious, like egg burritos and like burrito sausage, mushrooms, all of that. And as long as you skip the tortilla, all the innards of it was delicious. And he's like, I'm just not sure what I'm going to eat. I got to figure out what doesn't give me heartburn. And I was like, oh, interesting. What does that mean exactly? And he said, oh, well, I started I just wasn't able to sleep. I was having to sleep sitting up, and then I wasn't getting any sleep at all because my stomach would get so irritated by the end of the night, and I was getting heartburn. Now, major misnomer about heartburn is it's not excessive amount of acid. It's usually exactly the opposite. So things, instead of actually digesting, they ferment, and then you have this bubbling up, like you see bubbles in fermented beer and wine and all of that, like the bubbles go upwards. So that's really what it's just a major misnomer. And so anyway, he was saying, well, I started taking Prilosec, and I take it once at night, and then it helps me to sleep. And I said, well, there's actually an alternative to that. And how long have you been on it? And he said, well, it's been a little bit over a year and it's helped a lot. Like I'm getting sleep again. And I'm like, that's great. Except for when you do your research of what happens to that, when you take it nonstop through the years for decades, it's no good for the brain. Like it interferes with the assimilation of your food. It interferes with all your, just all the everything eventually. And although you feel better and you sleep better, so I said, if you could take a digestive enzyme, you could go to the health food store, you come into my office and get something. But you could also just go right down the street to the health food store. There's a chewable papaya enzyme, super soft and gentle to eat, to chew, to digest, and all of that. And it helps a lot. And I bet if you started taking that with your meals, and he was like, oh, I'd have to take that 3 times a day. And I said, yeah, you just take it with your meals, like put it in your pocket before the day, or you could just take it like with breakfast and see how you do. And then if you end up with having that reflux later, then you just can take another one. But it's food, like it's a food product. It's not a chemical, like it's papaya enzyme in a chewable. It kind of tastes like the chewable Flintstone vitamins we used to eat. That's what it tastes like to me. It's like really digestible. And he said, well, I would have to do that 3 times a day instead of once a day. And I get that. And I do understand that that sounds inconvenient. But if you knew the biochemistry behind the scenes of the drug as compared to the digestive enzyme, you would choose what's way better for the brain in the long run. Now he's mid 40s, so he's feeling for the most part pretty good. But his dad and his uncle both died at 53 and 52 because of esophageal. You basically, there's so much stomach acid that comes up that it starts to eat away at the integrity of the esophagus. And I forgot what that disease process.
Barrett's.
There you go. Yeah. So Barrett's esophagus, and then it just, basically breaks the wall of the esophagus down enough. Now, that drug is also what his dad and his uncle were on. So it's like, why, if there's this better solution that's a food product and your body's like, oh, sweet, that's food. That's awesome. Instead of, holy cow, what'd you just put in us? We got to filter that through the liver. That affects the kidneys. That affects all the internal organs. And you may or may not feel a little bit better, may or may not get a little bit better sleep. And then you multiply that. And it's like, it's difficult to keep going through the days and having these discussions with people. And like, how does that not make sense?
And not see the light bulb come on when you talk to somebody like that. That's really when somebody's light bulb comes on, then you're like, oh, that wasn't a waste of my breath.
Right.
But when they're just like, sloughing it off like it's a bunch of, cuckoo talk, it's like, that's when you're like, oh, why did I waste my breath? Especially at a chamber thing, and it's interesting because the whole, so papaya enzyme, a little peek behind the curtain. I find papaya absolutely disgusting. It tastes like stomach acid. It tastes like vomit to me. So, I cannot eat a papaya. But but the
I can't eat a papaya. The enzyme though.
With the enzyme, yeah, the enzyme. But you said chewable, and I'm like, I'm not doing a chewable.
Yeah.
For fear of that. But so it's usually not enough stomach acid, and what happens, especially in a case like Barrett's, is that the whole intestines, the whole tube works on pH levels.
Right.
And the valve at the esophagus is supposed to shut when there's the appropriate amount of acid in it. And so if there's never an appropriate amount of acid, there's never a signal to the brain to tell the nerves to close that valve. Mm-hmm. So you get these floppy valves, you get these half open valves, and you always have acid coming up, which it's going to corrode it. And what we really need at the stomach level is we need more sources of betaine, which is betaine HCl. So it's going to increase your hydrochloric acid. And that's more like your cruciferous vegetables, beets, anything that has in that brassica family. So broccoli, cauliflower, kale, any of those things, cabbage. And those are all very, very high in cancer fighting agents.
Right.
And then you take your papaya, your papain and your amylase, And that is further down for the small intestines to emit enzymes from the pancreas. So it's supporting the whole digestive process is really so critical, especially if you know your father and your uncle both had digestive issues. Why would you not be looking for, I probably should fix this? And if you're saying to him, hey, you can fix this, and he's like, oh, but I just want to take the easy way out, then you're probably looking at an early death yourself
I
if you're
know.
not
I
willing to
just,
make that change.
right. And for people, I mean, everybody in our communities, but especially the, friends, it's like, I just, it's really hard when logic is so blaring on our side, but it's because we've done the work that like actually works and have done the research into it and the mechanism behind it and all of that. And then it's like, this is logic. And, more and more people are questioning it. So I do appreciate what is going on in our world. It's just, they're not questioning it quick enough. And we're making decisions with our health. Same thing with chiropractic. It's like you're making decisions to go get like a steroid injection into the joint instead of like, that's going to just eat away at the joint. Like, do the research and you come out with this mess, or do the research and you come out with this like vibrant body and vibrant joints and tissues and muscles and organs and brain. And I just always go back to the patient that entered my office and he was like, I want my health expectancy to match my life expectancy. And so this is the research that we're always sharing and the mechanism we're always sharing to get that health expectancy to match the life expectancy for everybody that crosses our paths. Like if you see Dr. Paul and I out anywhere, sometimes we'll just say, we're not working right now, but we still do have like, here's some essential oils, or here's a whatever.
Well,
like we still will offer you something. We just might not offer you. And like that yoga guy, we got
and how many times people come up to us and they're like, I've got this blah blah blah, and I'll just look at them and go, oh, we made fun of you on our podcast last week.
I know.
Which is fine. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, oh, because we're not actually working. And we talked about how people just walk up to us and expect us to solve their problems.
Right.
But yet these are also the same people that are like, oh, I was told I could never go to a chiropractor. They want our help when they meet us in a bar, but then God forbid they walk through the threshold of the door. Mm-hmm. And so those people, and if you're one of those people, like, what is your disconnect there? If you want if we are so valuable that you can come up to us and you feel comfortable asking that question in a bar or in public, then you should feel confident enough and respectful enough to walk through the threshold of the door and actually get help for yourself,
right?
Which we know we can absolutely change your effing life.
Exactly. We do it every day.
And, and you mentioned, science and data and studies and all of that. And if we just tossed all of that aside, if we tossed all the studies, all you have to do is come and sit in one of our offices for a day. That's it.
Yes.
And if you watch the miracles, and I mentioned this to you on one of our messages yesterday, is that how I expect miracles. I shouldn't be surprised by them. And yet every day I'm blown away at the miraculous healing capacity of the human body when it's corrected and when you release the interference to the information superhighway, the nervous system, and allow the body to do what it needs to do without any interference. Like, we need to just stop. And I had a patient years ago. I've helped so many people get off of these acid blockers. And I had this guy I was working with a few years back, and young guy, he was in his 30s. And he told me, he said, all I want to do is go out and have beer and pizza with my buddies. And he wasn't unhealthy. He did exercise and he tried to eat really healthy, but what he could eat was very little, kind of like the guy you met. And this guy was on 20 milligram tabs of Prilosec a day. So it started off 10 once a day, and that wasn't working. And then it was 10 twice a day, that wasn't working. Then it was 20, and the doctors just keep increasing. And what that means is that it's the amount of suppression of your acid. So he's on 40 milligrams. It's a hefty dose. And when I work with people, often they'll say, well, I've tried getting off. I have to be on them because I have terrible heartburn when I go off. Absolutely. So do not, I want to just make this disclaimer. We are not going to stand in this moment and say you need to stop taking them today, because if you do, you will have rebounding. Your stomach does not have the building blocks to function on its own, to create its own hydrochloric acid when you take those. So there's a whole protocol that goes with it. And it takes about 9 to 12 weeks. And you have to be doing this protocol of very specific nutrients in conjunction with those acid blockers for a couple of weeks before we start to say you need to now take off 1 pill a week. That's it. That's how damaging they are, that if you don't wean off of these slowly, you will get a rebounding. And if you are not fueling the stomach and the body with the nutrients it needs to then rebuild its own hydrochloric acid pumps, you're going to get that rebounding. So this guy, I started him and I told him, I said, listen, we're talking, 16 weeks, maybe, it depends. And I was afraid he was going to have rebounding when he just pulled that first one off. And he's going through it and he's going through it and he's doing okay. And at about 4 or 5 weeks, he came in and he goes, I'm done. I said, what do you mean you're done? And he goes, I stopped taking it. And I go, what do you mean you stopped? I was like, oh my God, no. And he goes, no, I stopped 100%. He still had like 6 to 8 weeks more of removing these pills. And he goes, no, I'm going to keep taking the supplements you told me, but I stopped taking the Prilosec and I had no rebounding. I went out with my buddies last night. I had a beer and I had a piece of pizza. And he was also sleeping sitting up. That's how bad it was for the whole sleep issue. And he goes, I'm sleeping flat again. And I was able to go out with my buddies and I'm completely 100% off. And I checked in with him about 3-4 months later. He goes, nope, I'm doing great. Another 6 months went by. He goes, nope, I'm doing great. And he stayed on the nutrients to support his body and he stayed under chiropractic care, but he now was completely off. This is life changing because this stuff is so depleting and damaging to the body. You cannot be on that long term. And I think even the pamphlet in the package says no longer than 3 months.
Right.
The doctor's like, oh, you can be on that for years.
Oh, well, so many doctors put people on medications of all sorts without ever like another side. Like there's no other side to this. And then, I brought up that list of that patient with all those drugs before, many times before, but it's if you're on it as a bridge because of a crisis of some sort, it's very different than just being put on it with like an ongoing revolving prescription that just never ends. And to back up and talk a little bit about the rebound. So I always want to tell people, even with like pain medications and anti-inflammatories and all those kinds of things too, like our bodies are never making a mistake. So what's happening is that if your body is doing what it's doing, it's creating this symptom, and then you think the symptom is annoying. So then you tamp down the symptom and then it will rebound because there is, the body was doing that for a reason. I think you froze over there.
I totally froze.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
My screen froze on my end. So so as long as you can hear me.
Okay. Yeah. I can hear you.
Okay. Go ahead.
So, but even like to take, on like an anti-inflammatory, an NSAID of any sort, there's a reason why the body is, having pain in your ankle, having pain in your knee, having pain in your spine. Is trying to slow you down. It's giving you messages. And one of the phrases that we had sort of talked about ahead of time is discomfort is not punishment. Your body is never punishing you. Yeah, you're back.
Okay.
The body, you're not being punished. The body is not giving you symptoms for that. It's giving you symptoms for feedback. It's almost like you start a new job and your boss is giving you feedback. It's like, that's what makes you move forward. It's not like a punishment of some sort. Like, I don't know, you have a 90-day review after you've been there for a while. And it's like, okay, these things are great. This is a little bit of feedback. That's your body signals to every single symptom we have. And so what do we do about it? It's like, we go back to the 6 things: eat well, move well, think well, drink your water, get your rest, and get adjusted. And then, be asking the questions of, what's the other side of this? Someone put you on a medication. What's the other side? Like, some of my patients have come in and they're like, oh, my so-and-so wants to put me on such and such. And I started to do the research because, quite frankly, the people that are coming into our office, they are interested. They are asking bigger questions, how they got here. And they're like, but I'm seeing like this as a side effect and this and this and this. And then there's like this process of weaning off, and my doc didn't even talk about any of that. And anyway, it's just keep asking the bigger questions, keep doing right by your body, knowing that it's never making a mistake. It's giving you feedback.
Yeah, I had a patient in this morning who is young, mid 40s, maybe 45, and she had gone through breast cancer treatment over this past year. And she's supposed to be getting these infusions. She called them. I have to look this up. She's supposed to be getting these infusions, and supposedly the infusion, it's a drug. It prevents the chemo that she had from causing bone cancer. And so she's had 1 or 2 treatments so far. Well, the last one she just had a few weeks ago, shortly before she became a patient here. And she said it made her so sick. Like, it made her feel like she had the flu times 10. And she said, it was horrible. I don't know that I want to go back through it again. And they're trying to tell her, listen, most people who have the reaction you did only have that reaction the first time. So they're still trying to talk her into doing this. And I talked to her today, and I said, you know how you also prevent bone cancer? And I said, you improve your metabolic health. Mm-hmm. You don't keep putting more toxic poisons into it. And she's having this, both of her ankles, and especially her left one, she sprained back in June, and it was fully healed, but she keeps getting, her ankle keeps ballooning up as if she's like re-sprained it. And I said, that is all kidney. I said, whatever this drug is, it's affecting your kidneys, it's affecting your lymphatic system, and you are not going to change. And then she brought up the whole, like, well, cancer is genetic. And I said, because I just like, and I said, no, it's actually epigenetics. It's what's above the gene. It's the environment that you put the gene in. And the more chemicals you continue to throw in there, and the less metabolic health work we do, the worse it's going to get. And she's in full agreement, and I'm going to get her started on a detox, and she's under chiropractic care. And, she's like, I just want to get my body healthier. And she goes, I wish they would have said to me after I finished chemo, okay, now we want you to go see this nutritionist. Now we want to talk to you about how do we repair your body from all the damage we created with the drugs. And I go, well, that's where I come in.
Yeah.
That's where we come in as chiropractors and nutritionists, is that we're going to be the ones. And so it's, again, we just have to be shouting from the rooftops these messages so that people have this understanding that if you're going through that, you need to seek out a healthcare professional like us who's going to be able to take your hand from that medical establishment and pull you through to a healthier place and a healthier environment, and help guide you to do things for your body that support it, not continue to tear it down. There's no possible way.
Yeah, I have this patient who comes in weekly, and she has for a while, and she's been really struggling with difficulty sleeping. And she came in today, and now her next option is she thinks the question she had asked is, maybe I go see a neurologist. Now I'm like, neurologists no. There's a lot of things that are in a dysfunction, in disproportion, and out of whack chemically. And a neurologist, that, like, you got to ask the right people. This, just to Paula's point, Dr. Paula's point, you got to ask the right people the right questions. And if you're seeking drugs, radiation, and surgery, then go that route. If you're not seeking drugs, radiation, and surgery, you're not going to get a different answer except for drugs, radiation, and surgery from them. So I just like you said, like just be asking the right people the right questions. I had this patient in yesterday, and she's been in for years. She comes about every 2 to 3 weeks. I love her dearly, and yesterday she was in, and she said, "Okay, so I had this experience this past weekend." I'm like, "All right." I got the flu shot on Friday. I'm like, "Okay." And then she said, "And on Saturday, all I did was walk my property." And she said, "My quadricep," she said, "it bound up in such a Charlie horse. It felt like the muscle was going to pull off the bone, and that the bone and the muscle were going to rip my legs off." And I was like, "Wow, that is really intense." And I said, "Why did you get the flu shot?" And she's like, "Well, I just get it every year." And I said, "Well, that's probably part of it, is that they there's a huge inflammatory response that happens after them. We can always expect to have some sort of reaction. And if it's year after year after year like that, then that is possible." And she said, "And I went back to my doctor, and they said had nothing to do with it, even though it was literally like 18 hours later and everything prior to that was okay." Like, okay, so we're looking to, again, be asking the right people the right questions, which is, I'm so glad she brought that to me. I'm so glad that she felt safe to ask me those questions. I'm so glad she knows that I'm a safe place to talk about whatever medical decision you made, and I'm going to help you along the way. So she's doing some other things. Obviously, she's got like an electrolyte imbalance. And I'm like, "You need the greens, you need the cruciferous vegetables, like you need to do detox." And it's like all of our answers are always the same. That's the greatest part about what we're doing, is like, we're always the same answers, because what we're doing is based on logic, natural laws of the body, laws of health, and building blocks, starting, as Dr. Paul had said, with a really nice, actually, you might not have said that today in one of your lectures this week, of like building a really nice foundation for health. We can't just keep like putting stuff up here and not have built the foundation. Even talking about getting off the Prilosec, building the foundation of the gut, taking the time to do that, blah, 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 blah. We're always going to give you the same answers. Always.
In chiropractic, we have a saying, and it's called above, down, inside
Yeah.
out.
Yes.
And that we have, it comes, there's a universal intelligence. So that's coming from above. It comes down into us. Our bodies, our souls are animated, if you will, because what's the difference between me and dead me? This, right? So above, down, and then what's that?
Me and drop dead me.
Me and drop dead me. So, above, down, and then inside out means that health comes from within and out. And that, taking that Prilosec and taking all these treatments, and yes, if you're in crisis, you have to do what you have to do, but you have to, if you're in crisis, then you have to ask yourself the good questions, like Dr. Erica is saying, is why am I in crisis? And what do I need to do to get out of crisis, and then fix why I got into crisis? I don't think enough people ask that follow-up question. Right. How did I get into crisis to begin with? And that your maybe getting you out of crisis comes from the outside. Very common, right? A pill, a drug, you're in severe back pain and you get driven to the hospital and they give you a shot of Toradol and you're like, oh my God, thank God. So, whatever that is, but then, okay, why did that happen? Mm-hmm. And so our whole job is to get your body healing from within. And so the chiropractic adjustment opens that messaging up. If we say to you to take a digestive enzyme, yes, that's from the outside, but that goes in and that supports what's happening from the inside so your body can heal. There's never a damaging effect from taking any kind of supplement. It's like it all is designed to support what's happening on the inside of the body and optimize that function so that you do have greater healing from the inside. So always remember that.
Right. I was thinking, as you're talking about above, down, inside out, which is our greatest principle in chiropractic, Dr. Paul and I had a discussion about something that she was at the gym yesterday, and just bring up, chat with us about that conversation that you had, because I had something so similar, and I'll share mine after you, but share that story about the inside out health.
Okay. So, and this is great. And we're actually going to unpack this whole thing a little bit more next week. So we'll give some insight. But I was at the gym yesterday, and I'm not new to exercise and eating health. I'm not new to any of these principles. I have lived my life this way. And so my whole goal is can we inspire people who haven't lived their lives, who haven't been as fortunate as me and Dr. Erica to live a life of this type of lifestyle? Can we inspire you today? Can we inspire you, if you have, to do more, to be better? Anyway, so I'm at the gym and I see this woman that I know, and she's a former patient, and she's done really great too, and she looks amazing. And I said, man, you looking good. And I said, keep up the good work. And she said, you look great too. She goes, your face, what did you do to your face? And she goes, did you have work done? And I looked at her and I go, did I have work done? I go, what do you mean, like a facelift? And she goes, no, like Botox. It looks like you had Botox done, which to me was like such an insult, right? Because I'm like, no. And I go, no, I've not. I go, this is me. Now, I always, I have my homemade body butter that I sell, right? And I take a dab of this and I put it on my face, and it gives me this wonderful glow. And I don't have makeup on at the gym. And so I'm wondering if that glow sort of added to it. But it's not the first time I've done that. I do it every day of my life. So I posted about it, and I said, what did I say? I said, somebody at the gym said to me, did you have work done? And I said, no. And I said, this is 59 years old, all natural, zero work. And I said, frankly, I'm not sure if I should be flattered or offended, but I chalk it up to good hydration, healthy food, lots of movement, great mindset, breath work, great sleep habits, a daily practice of gratitude and joy, and regular chiropractic care. I mean, that is a life that has allowed my body to like just ooze health from the inside out. All of that is inside out health. Mm-hmm. And that's what you see. You see that culmination of how I live my life coming out in my face, because I'm not aged, and I'm not, of course I've got a few wrinkles, and, I'm a little saggy. I could criticize myself, but I'm not going to, because I feel like I look pretty incredible for where I'm at.
Right. And the other part too is like, if you are going out and doing Botox and fillers and all those kinds of things, good on you. You guys keep doing that. But what's going on with your body? Because a lot of people are taking care of their face and hair, but it's not coming from the body. Right. And I think that's a whole entire other podcast. But so I have
just because you inject a few things doesn't give you good metabolic health.
No.
And you're not fooling anybody. Nobody's believing that you're younger. Nobody's believing that.
Weird. Like, what's that? Age, you're just looking weird.
Yeah, weird. Yeah. And this is my favorite, the lip flip. Yeah. People do this. And then they talk with a lisp, and their face just like, I'm like, what is this? You look like somebody punched you in the face. I don't, just stop this one. Can we stop this one?
There's all kinds of stuff out there. So I'll share with you guys, a year ago, I got injured, and it went from hip to belly, to guts, to reproductive system, to blah, 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 perimenopause, menopause, and all the things. And I was never, I'm not a foodie. I don't care where, I don't really care for meals. Like I would rather get everything in a bar, like in a bar form, not in a bar, but in a bar form. If I could eat everything I needed in bar form to make it simple, that's what I would prefer to do. And I did have a tendency of getting at least one meal in a meal bar form, or adding a little extra protein by having a protein bar. And I've done this for years, and it caught up with me. So over the last year, I've done a number of things, but one is clear the liver, and obviously support the kidneys, but clearing the liver. I've done all whole foods. I mean, not Whole Foods, the store, all whole foods diet, which Dr. Paula has been doing for her whole life, but we're just very different in certain ways. And food is not my thing, and it's absolutely her thing. But nourishment and healthy eating and living is my thing. I just do it a little different way. But anyway, So I'm like going through the winter last year and then into the spring and then into the summer. And I've done a ton of things that make me super happy. I've continued to decongest my liver. I'm doing like castor oil packs every single night since February. I do just a bunch of other super health supportive, including all the things that we talk about. And my mom and my stepdad said to me it was Halloween night. So last Friday, they just said, "You look so beautiful coming from the inside out." But it's like, they said, "What are you doing?" I'm like, all I'm doing is slow. I used to have a friend that would say slow by slow, and I hated that, but it's kind of like that. Slowly and surely, one cell at a time, turning things over to whole foods and turning things over to nourishment and turning things over to like super supporting my liver. And I was up, you guys, last night until 3 a.m. I had to take my little guy in he had an emergency situation. And if I was not as healthy in my gut and my liver and my kidneys and my internal organs as I am, I would be blasted today. Blasted. But I feel good. I have very little makeup on. I don't know what's making me glow like that.
I
I
know
can't.
you do. It's like you have so much color in your face.
I know. And it's
Yeah.
it's literally coming from the inside. So for my parents to say that, it was like, wow. I mean, I see it, and I've started, you know what else? I've started adding in jump rope. And so the
Lymphatic
like
drainage. Yeah.
jump in the core and the pelvic floor and all of that. So I've been jump roping for about just a couple of weeks, but maybe like 3 weeks, maybe just this past month. And it's everything from the inside out. So it's so interesting. We kind of had that similar experience where it's like, let's just age in a healthy way and let our body do what it's supposed to do. And
And
not
look
look.
at Ghetto Hippie says, cell by cell sounds like you need patience. And you nailed that right
Yes.
there
Like
because
chills from head to toe just saying that.
yeah,
Yes.
because it's not a 10-day cleanse, it's not a 30-day cleanse, it's not 3 months of healthy eating. It is constant and consistent, disciplined um, um, habits and lifestyle things that you do that fuel you, and it does take time. And what I love too is that when a patient they're like, I'm still in pain, I'm like, it's okay, like we're gonna get there. And then suddenly they'll come in and they'll go, I was feeling so good, I almost forgot I had an appointment today. It's like this, your body does this. It's like chugging. It's like the little engine that could. It's chugging. It's trying to heal. And it's slow. It's slow because you had a lifetime. You've had years of all this damage, and we have to turn these cells over, as Dr. Erica was saying. And then you get to the top, and then suddenly all the momentum, and you go down the other side, and that's when all the magic happens. But most people lose patience on the way up the track. And then they're like, oh, I'm just going to go get an injection. And even the medical doctors will tell you, they're like, you can't have any more than 3 steroid shots.
Right.
But did you know damage starts with the first one?
Danger. Well, it's so dangerous. You can only have 3, period.
Right.
Don't do that.
But the fact that people don't go, I can only have 3. What happens if I just have 1? You get damage and you have degeneration. We'll just go here for a second. You have degeneration. And so you go in and you get an injection of something that causes further degeneration. It's not, Dr. Eric and I both have cold laser. That's what you need to be doing. Cold laser helps that cell by cell. It stimulates the mitochondria. It stimulates healing of the tendons, the ligaments, the bone, the blood vessels. Like it is like, do things for your body that improve its level of healing, that improve your ability to sustain life. Next level. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So when we go back to kind of where we started, and we talk about my friend at mid-40s taking 1 Prilosec a day rather than taking a digestive enzyme with each meal, like, I'm sorry, I like go haywire, like something trips my circuit, that's the choice instead of digesting food and building a really healthy body. And I love that you brought that up, ghetto hippie, where it's really slow. It's painfully slow. And our world has taught us instant gratification at a certain level. And then since cell phones and all the things that we're now connected with, it's like it should have happened seconds ago. Like we can't live our health like that. And we should maybe do a week and each of us write out the things that we do each day. And like, if you guys knew how much Dr. Paula and I put into our health every single day, every single week, it's not to toot our own horns. It's just what needs to be done.
Because you can't be accused of getting Botox if you don't live a life like this.
Right.
But I want to go back to the patience thing again. And that even though we live our lives like this, I have to tell you guys, when Dr. Erica was going through her, I don't know if I want to call it a health crisis and put that on, but when she was going through her health thing over the past year, it was a long time. And I know that you were frustrated and I know you wanted it to go faster. And even though, like, I can't imagine if she didn't take care of her body the way she does, how much longer or which direction could this thing have taken?
Right.
And
we wanted to do all kinds of things with me.
Yeah. Right.
And I didn't even want to get in the medical system at all. Like it took me 3 months to even go see somebody because I'm like, I'm just, I got to just keep figuring this out, keep figuring it out. And then when I did go, I got some answers, but then some solutions that I wasn't willing to take on anyway. And then I didn't. And then I kept doing my thing and doing my thing and doing my thing. And here I am. And I'm not kidding you guys. When I was calling my mom every single day, my mom goes to Florida for the season. I called her every single day because I was in that much pain, discomfort, nausea. I couldn't do anything except for work and recover on the weekends. Like that's all. I couldn't really go to the gym. I was cold plunging. That was also one of the things that really brought me out of it and still keeps me going. But I look back at a year ago and I'm like, wow. But the patience that I had to not jump on it right away, throw something at it right away. It's definitely an adventure. And I think we all go on these adventures, especially as practitioners, so that we can lead people down places and the paths that we've been. And that's the only places that we can really lead people is where we've already been.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm so grateful for that insight, because what I'm doing for eating now I thought after 3 months I would really start to enjoy it, and I just don't. But I do it because it's discipline. I do it because I'm disciplined to do it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's great. And anyway. Lily says it takes a lifetime to acquire illness. To expect it to remedy quickly is not reasonable, which is so true. And I do have to ask my patients, when my patients will ask me, how long do you think this will take? And then I tell them, and then they balk at that. And then I have to ask them, how long has it taken you to get here? And then they go, oh, well, I mean, yeah, I've been living with this for several years. Okay, great. So tell me then how long do you think this should take to heal? And they might say, well, I thought maybe I could just come in once or twice. Okay, tell me how that's going. So I start putting the questioning back onto them and saying, getting you to think. Because you, the patient, you have to come to the realization that you have to put the work in. You have to put the time, the energy. It's a financial commitment. And you have to start putting these other lifestyle things into place. And just like Dr. Erica, who's not a foodie, but she's doing it because she knows it's part of her healing and she knows it's necessary. And of course, every time she calls me, I'm cooking. So like, if I lived closer, I would be making meals for her.
Yeah. If we lived closer, for sure. I would probably just Venmo her for the month, and then I would just show up to dinner at her house. We live
100%.
unfortunately
That's
45 minutes away
exactly. Yeah.
from each other. But yeah, I would just Venmo you for groceries and then just show up every night. Wouldn't that be awesome?
That'd
That'd be
be
great.
so good.
It
It'd
would
be
be good.
so great. Yes. Yes. Because then we
Okay,
get to have family meals together, right?
that's right.
I love that,
Anyway.
Rory, you're at your chiropractor right now. I love it. I love
Aw,
watching the
that's
show.
so
When I'm at my
great.
chiropractor, they watch me. That's so great. Tell your chiropractor we said hello.
Yes.
I don't know if we know who that
Yeah,
is.
where are you?
I
Curious
know.
where you
I
are.
know. Who's your chiropractor? We're a small world. You never know who we know.
Yeah. Anyway, we can wrap up at that.
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
All
a
right,
great
perfect.
show.
Go take care of the baby.
I
I'm
know.
putting my Christmas decorations up, and
The-
people are all like making fun of me. I'm getting the snarky comments, and I'm like, this is a one-woman show. I have this place, I have my house. So like step off.
yeah.
Okay. Like
No, it's great.
anyway,
All right, you guys.
okay, you guys, thank you so much. We appreciate you being here. Appreciate all of your comments and your engaging with us and just loving on us each and every week. So make sure you come on back next week for more Chiropractic is Sexy. Don't forget to share and let everybody know. Let us know what you think of this episode. Okay, talk to you guys soon.